Historically, we've seen now open source information being used in three different ways to complement international criminal proceedings. The first is as evidence. Evidence for the commission of crimes and evidence for the responsibility of an individual for those crimes. The second is we've seen it as information that's used for advocacy purposes. So for depicting, for instance, the commission of crimes for the purposes of drawing greater international attention and hopefully instigating an investigation or encouraging national or international bodies to begin review of the process. And then the third is in the context of corroborating the information that is already in the possession of individuals who may testify as witnesses or otherwise present evidence on the commission of international crimes. It can obviously corroborate the contemporaneous accounts of those individuals, or in other ways prove the veracity of those accounts themselves. There are a number of challenges when it comes to the use of open source information for purposes of accountability. There's security issues that you need to be mindful of. There's biases that factor into the visibility of those crimes or what they establish. But the key challenges, I think, relate to the ones relating to veracity as well as authenticity. So we all know that open source information is information that is available on public websites like social media sites such as YouTube or Meta or TikTok. Those are resources that are easily and usually susceptible to manipulation, especially as manipulation technologies become more sophisticated and easier to use. As it becomes easier to manipulate information, especially with the promulgation and ease of access of generative AI, the key question is going to be authenticity. The key question is going to be, how do we authenticate each piece of media to ensure that it's reliable, to ensure that it's an accurate and authentic accounting of what it depicts. That is a challenge of the day, and it's most certainly going to be the challenge of tomorrow as it relates to this type of information. And when counting for the fact that oftentimes social media content is high in volume, in the sense that a lot of information is posted on accounts on Meta or on YouTube, the difficulty with regards to establishing authenticity becomes magnified by virtue of just the sheer volume of information that needs to be evaluated. This issue becomes more complicated by the fact that the detection of deepfakes is equally a challenge in and of itself. We have a paucity of legal professionals or professionals more generally who know how to siphon through deepfakes and identify what is or isn't actually genuine or authentic. We also have judges who are susceptible to deepfakes or skeptical as to the use of open source information in light of the absence of readily made available technologies that are used to detect deepfakes. So the combination of all of these issues leads to a serious issue and a serious challenge as it relates to veracity and detecting, for instance, authentic media for purposes of obviously admission as evidence or otherwise relying upon that information. We see two main uses. We see obviously the use in actual criminal trials. So for instance, the cases highlighted, I think, by most is the arrest warrant that was issued against the former Libyan general al-Warfali, whereby there were videos that were posted on YouTube as well as on Facebook depicting him killing 3 individuals. Those videos were used in order to undergird the arrest warrant that was issued against him before the International Criminal Court. We've also seen, for instance, in Sweden, social media posts that were put on Facebook being used to undergird the convictions against a Syrian national for crimes committed there. But then we also see it used as corroborating evidence. You know, there's a number of journalists and human rights defenders who have testified before the ICC or have given evidence to the mechanisms before the UN in Syria or in Myanmar, and the posts that they put on Twitter or the accounts that they relayed that were contemporaneous on Facebook or on YouTube have been used to corroborate their accounts when years later they might be giving evidence to accountability mechanisms. So there's a wide range of uses that we've seen, but those are just a sampling of a few. I'll focus on one challenge which relates to security. Security for the individuals who upload the information, security for the individuals who are depicted in the media, security for the organizations which use the information, and obviously security for the accounts of all of those individuals who are associated with the persons that I just described. More and more countries are becoming sophisticated in terms of hacking, and at the same time, more and more organizations are in the business of looking for and compiling this data, therefore creating honeypots potentially of databases where very sensitive information pertaining to individuals are being maintained. In light of those two dynamics, cybersecurity becomes all the more important. And there, I think there is a possibility and in fact a promise here of synergies being developed between the private sector, between the government, one of which obviously that I serve for, as well as civil society organizations to work creatively and collaboratively towards identifying solutions to this cybersecurity problem. Thank you.